Hi, I'm Luka, and you probably didn't know this, but I'm trans. I know it's a big surprise. Today I want to answer the most frequently Googled trans questions because I see videos like that all the time and I think they're hilarious, so we're gonna do it now as well. I think it's gonna be a good combination of educational but still funny. I didn't prepare at all for this video because I want to be like surprised by the questions. I got my beautiful laptop right here and let's Google. Oh wait, I have to screen record first. How do you fucking do that? How do transgender get pregnant? Yeah, let's start with the important questions. First of all, trans women obviously can't get pregnant because they don't have a uterus and like the equipment for it, but trans men can get pregnant theoretically, so I guess I can get pregnant. Obviously it becomes kind of unlikely once you start taking testosterone because usually then your period stops and like shit doesn't work properly anymore, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. I've heard stories and I really don't want to get pregnant. Okay, so how do transgender surgeries work? I'm not a doctor obviously, so this is going to be a very basic explanation. Also, there isn't just one surgery you can get. It's not like you have surgery once and they do like a complete transformation, but basically for transmasculine people like myself, you can have top surgery, so you can remove the boobs and you can get a hysterectomy, so remove your uterus and stuff. There are different kinds of bottom surgery as well, but it's gonna take too long to explain that. How do transgender female transition? These questions are really hard to answer. Like, every person transitions differently. For trans women there are lots of different possibilities, like you can take hormones, like usually estrogen, and there are different surgeries as well. A lot of trans women do voice training because it's a lot harder to get your voice high once it's already deep. I don't know, there's so many options. How do transgender look like? Well, I look like this. I don't know. You can't tell if someone is trans or not just by looking at them, especially after transitioning. A lot of trans people just blend in, and even if they don't blend in, that's okay too. There's still not one way to look trans. How do transgender born? I feel like this is grammatically incorrect as well. It doesn't make any sense to me. How do transgender change their voice? Finally, a question I can answer. For trans men, if you're pre-testosterone, you can do vocal exercises and just try and make your voice naturally sound deeper. I didn't really do that because I felt awkward. And then once you take testosterone, it's a lot easier because your voice will naturally drop after a couple of months because your vocal cords get thicker and then your voice drops. For trans women, it's a lot more complicated. I think I just explained why. But once you go through male puberty and your vocal cords are thick, they don't grow back. So trans women usually have to do voice training to get their voice higher. How do transgender work? Well, I work from home, I do social media, and I teach English, but I guess this was not the question. How do transgender athletes have an advantage? Well, this is a very controversial topic. Usually it's more debated when it comes to trans women because they used to be men, therefore they are stronger. And I guess that makes sense to a certain extent, but still, it's very discriminatory. And I'm pretty sure that there are some sort of rules that you can only compete in an official competition once you've transitioned, so your hormone levels are like the same as your competitors. But I think it's so funny that we make such a big deal when it comes to like gender and hormones, but so many people have other competitive advantages as well. I think Usain Bolt has like disproportionately long legs. You know, people have different heights and sizes and shapes, and that usually isn't talked about a lot. And then people lose their shit when it comes to like testosterone levels. Okay, how do transgender pee? Well, I usually go to the bathroom and then I sit down because standing up would be quite difficult for me, and then I pee. Good stuff. When I'm out in public, it can be tricky sometimes because in the men's bathroom there's usually only one stall, sometimes two, and when they are occupied you never know how long it's gonna take. Why do transgender ask for money? Well, I never asked for money before, but maybe this refers to like trans people doing like these GoFundMe pages to pay for surgeries. And I feel like this is mostly a thing in America because there people usually don't have health insurance, or even if they do, health insurance doesn't really cover it sometimes. So if you're a trans person and you want to get surgery and you're not rich by any chance, you gotta like find a way to pay for it somehow. I'm very lucky I live in Germany and my health insurance paid for like all my transition expenses, and just my top surgery was like 8,000 euros, so good stuff. Why do transgender clap? Okay. I don't know. Why do transgender take hormones? Because it makes us feel more comfortable in our own skin. I also don't like that transgender is used as a noun here. It's an adjective, it's used to describe a person. So you can say a transgender person or a trans person, like if you want to make it short. Why do transgender take I don't even know how to pronounce that word. Oh, okay. So it's a medication that is primarily used to treat fluid buildup due to heart failure, liver scarring, or kidney disease. I've never heard of that. I'm not taking it. Please, someone tell me what's up with that. Why do transgender only eat salad? Well, thank God I'm here to tell you that this is clearly a myth. This is not true. Why do transgender refer to themselves as they? Well, I guess it's up to the person what pronouns they want to use. Look how easy it was to use they, them pronouns. I personally use he, him pronouns because that makes me feel the most comfortable. But some trans people might not like he, him, or she, her pronouns. Especially if you're non-binary, you might like to be referred to in a gender-neutral way. And using they, them pronouns is a pretty chill and easy way to do that. Obviously, that doesn't mean that every non-binary person uses they, them pronouns. You can be non-binary and use whichever pronouns you want. And you can be binary and still use they, them pronouns. Pronouns are just about how you feel comfortable being addressed, and that can change as well. So, is transgender genetic? I don't know. I would love to know, but probably it is to some sort of extent. Is transgender surgery painful? I only had top surgery so far, and that wasn't really painful at all. It also wasn't easy peasy lemon squeezy, I have to say that as well. But you know, you get painkillers, and then after that it's more discomfort than pain, really. But I'm sure other surgeries are more complicated and therefore more painful. So like, is transgender surgery covered by insurance? That depends where you're from and also on your insurance. Is transgender and transsexual the same? Not really, but I think they used to be. I think transsexual is more like an old word, and I've heard people say that transsexual refers to people who've already had like all the surgeries. And I still hear transsexual a lot when it comes to medical context, but I literally never use that word because I don't like it. I think transgender sounds a lot better, or usually I just say trans. Is transgender have periods? Well, this is a very wrong sentence. Well, if you're assigned female at birth and you're not taking hormones yet, you will most probably have a period. But for example, my period stopped like 2 or 3 months into me taking testosterone. Is transgender caused by trauma? Okay, another controversial one. There's also the question, is transgender nature or nurture? And I think honestly, it's always a bit of both. Things like that aren't really that simple. So I don't think there's this one gene that makes you trans, but I also don't think you just turn out trans because of some traumatic childhood experience. It doesn't really matter why people are trans, but I think being trans is a very natural thing. I'm pretty sure other animals can be trans as well, so it's just like a natural variation. Gender is essentially a social construct, so the only reason why trans people feel like we're not supposed to be like that is because society has conditioned us that way, that having certain body parts equals being a specific gender. Okay, rant over, and last question. So is transgender reversible? Is transgender hormone therapy reversible? I guess that also depends on how long you were taking hormones and like lots of other things, but basically some changes are reversible while other changes are permanent. So for example, if I were to stop taking testosterone, my voice would stay the same probably, or it definitely wouldn't go back to the way it was before. But other things such as muscles or body fat redistribution would probably change back, and maybe my facial features would change a little bit. So yeah, that's that. For me, it was definitely very entertaining to read all these questions. I hope you had fun as well. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you have ideas for future videos, please also let me know, because I really want to make more YouTube videos this year. I know I've mainly been posting on TikTok recently, but I really want to do it this year. Okay, I'll see you next week. Bye bye.